Gopi Janapala Bhava Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Gopi Janapala Bhava Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Sodhanata Jaya Braja Janara Vachana Jaya Sodhanata Jaya Braja Janara Jamuna Tiranacha Jaya Kunjabihari Jaya Kunjabihari Jamuna Tiranacha Jaya Kunjabihari Jaya Kunjabihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, good morning, dear devotees. Sure. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Make sure I have the right verse. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Where's the chat? Okay. 57. Okay. Yep. So Canto 6, chapter 14, starting verse 57. So text 57 as follows. Uttishtatata tamishishva shishavo vayasyas. Wait, let me get the meter right. Uttishtatata taime shishavo vayasyas. Tvam vyayanti nipanandana samvihartum. Suptashchiram hyasanaya cha bhavan parito. Pungshvastanam pibasucho haranasvakanam. Okay, so the I wasn't assigned a verse with a purport, and you know that's generally not the etiquette. You don't speak on a verse that doesn't have a purport. But I didn't want to mess up the whole like schedule. So I thought I would just read the purportless verses I was assigned, and then read a purport from a related verse in the Bhagavatam. So I'll do the word for this one. Uttishta, kindly get up. All the pujaris know that one. That's how when we wake the Lords, we say Uttishta, and then we uh, invite the Lords to their different place. They're out of their beds. Okay, Tata, my dear son, te, they, ime, all these. Shishava, children. Shishava, interesting. I wonder if that relates to Shishya, which means disciple or to teach. Vayasya, playmates. Twam, you, ahvayanti, are calling. Nripa Nandana, O king, O son of the king. Nripa Nandana, like Yasoda Nandana means the son of Mother Yasoda. Nripa Nandana. So I guess Nripa means king. Samvihartum, to play with. Supta, you have slept. Chiram, for a long time. He, indeed. Asanaya, by hunger. Cha, also. Bhavan, you. Paritaha, overcome. Bhungshva, please eat. Stanam, at the breast of your mother. Piba, drink. Suchaha, lamentation. Hara, just dissipate. Na, of us. Sotanam, your relatives. Translation. My dear son, you have slept a long time. And by the way, this is the queen, his mother, speaking to her son. My dear son, my dear. Oh no, okay, I'm not feeling the voices this morning. Okay, my dear son, you have slept a long time. Now please get up. Your playmates are calling you to play. Since you must be very hungry, please get up and suck my breast and dissipate our lamentation. And just just try to feel what she must be experiencing now. I mean, her son is, just being in this situation where her son is just obviously dead, but she's so she can't handle the situation, and she's just pleading with her son, please get up. You can just imagine, just try to enter into these emotions she must be feeling. Okay, text 58. My dear son, I am certainly most unfortunate, for I can no longer see your mild smiling. You have closed your eyes forever. I therefore conclude that you have been taken from this planet to another, from which you will not return. My dear son, I can no longer hear your pleasing voice. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, accompanied by his wife, who was thus lamenting for her dead son, King Chitraketu began crying loudly with open mouth, being greatly aggrieved. Ha 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 ha. As the king and queen lamented, all their male and female followers joined them in crying. Because of this sudden accident, all the citizens of the kingdom were almost unconscious. So just such intense grief that literally just um, feeling almost unconscious. Like sometimes we get in situations where we're in so much pain that we go unconscious. Um, so it's yeah, it's like such a shock to the nervous system. Okay, last verse for for this chapter. When the great Angira understood that the king was almost dead in an ocean of lamentation, he went there with Narada Rishi. Purport. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 6th canto, 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Chitraketu's Lamentation. Okay. Okay, so as promised, I will get another purport. So this is on this topic of lamentation. I thought to read this verse because this section, Queen Kunti, is all about uh, yeah, the um, kind of perfection of lamentation, because as we know, Queen Kunti, she had a you know uh, yeah, she's lamenting the death of her sons. Yeah, she's lamenting the death of her sons who were very heinously killed by Asvatthama, and who was the son of Dronacharya. After the whole battle of Kurukshetra, and now her 5 sons are killed, and so she's pleading with Krishna here. Um, so famous verse here, one, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, verse 25. Vipada santupta sasvat tatra tatra jagad guru bhavato darshanam yat syad apunar bhava darshanam. Apana bhava darshanam. That's uh, not again seeing the repetition of birth and death. Oh, yeah, okay. And so this is the translation. I wish that all those calamities, this is Queen Kunti praying to Krishna. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Generally, the distressed, the needy, the intelligent, and the inquisitive, who have performed some pious activities, begin to worship the Lord. Others who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme Being due to being misled by the illusory energy. I love that. Others who are thriving on misdeeds only. So, yeah, we can see if someone's in a regrettable situation or living a, godless life, we can know that these people are thriving on misdeeds. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, though we are Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nescience, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with a place where there is danger in every step. This material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place itself is full of calamities. They have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trace of calamity. Wow. The abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and which has no trace of calamities. Beautiful. The duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization, because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called false. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there's no tiger and there's no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all calamities of life are said to be dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a forward step on the path of going back to Godhead. Wow. So there you go. If you're listening to Srimad Bhagavatam class today, even given by, someone unqualified as myself, it's saying here that, yeah, any contact with one of the 9 processes of devotional service is always a forward step on the path going back to Godhead. As we heard earlier, Godhead is the place where there's no trace of calamity. It's full of bliss. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shita Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So I thought if I can be so bold as to give this class a title, which not that I prepared for hours or anything, but it's always nice to give a little sketchy title, and it prepares the mind for what they're about to hear. So I thought to entitle this class, Dealing with the Inevitabilities of Calamities. Inevitabilities of calamities. How to deal with it. Okay. So, okay, let me just get a drink of water real quick. So as we're hearing in this verse, um, or sorry, in this purport that I just read, uh, the nature of this material world is it's calamitous. Dukalayama sasvatam. This world is a place of miseries wherein repeated birth and death take place. Even from the highest, abode down to the lowest, it's all this is the nature of this world. So if we're thinking that we're going to be in this world without anxiety, uh, you know, then it's like jumping in an ocean and thinking one is not going to get wet. So anxiety, yeah, lamentation, uh, these are just characteristics of this material world. This is this is the place where we are. Um, and yeah, so how to deal with this? In the world we see there's um, so many. It's almost like it's a bad place, and yeah, bad things just keep happening, and then it just gets worse, and you know, like uh, I'm just thinking, there was one story I heard of where, uh, this man, somewhere in Texas, I think he lived, and he said he was working on an oil fields, um, and he, yeah, was married and he's living, you know, clean life compared in Kali Yuga standard. Said he had never taken any drug that was stronger than an aspirin. And then he, his wife had a miscarriage at like 8 months. And then, this experience was so painful to him that he wasn't able to deal with the pain, became a heroin addict, and then he was, yeah, so he was telling this story from prison. And, somehow life took a terrible turn and ended up in prison. Uh, so this is just, and we can see, just open up the news, and this is all you hear is like this terrible thing happened, that terrible thing happened. Um, so there's no shortage of horror stories in this material world. Um, so how to deal with it? Um, how to deal with it? Dealing with the inevitabilities of calamities. So I thought of things that, um, three aspects as devotees that we can, um, how we can relate to these calamitous situations in our life. And yeah, much of it is from this purport that from Queen Kunti's prayers. Um, so one is that, yeah, the how um, devotional service brings one to the mode of goodness. And as we know, the mode of goodness is means seeing things in proper perspective. Um, the more uh, the more one is advanced in devotional service, the more one is free from these lower modes of nature. And so you can see these very advanced souls in our movement. Um, you can see it's not that they are fully absorbed in Krishna, but then like are struggling with these modes also. Like, it might be like a famous, basketball player or something. And okay, he's really good at basketball, but then then you look at his life and it's just like, he's doing all these like very low mode type of things. So devotional service, it's not like that. As one becomes advanced in devotional service, then these lower modes get cleared away. Um, so if one is so one in the mode of goodness, he is actually able to deal with these things, um, these calamitous situations in the material world in a responsible way, like um, the characteristics of ignorance is to revert to intoxication. So like that story that I told about this guy um, whose wife had a miscarriage. We can see by the action of reverting to drugs to deal with that situation, we can see, okay, must have been some strong influence of the mode of ignorance there. Um, so yeah, the modes. So there's so many talks, like you know, so many psychology talk online nowadays, psychology podcasts and stuff. Not gonna say I'm not a fan of them, um, but yeah, and they just talk about getting one to like a more mode of goodness approach, because it's true. Like, okay, when when something happens in our life, let's say like a family member, say one of our parents, pass away, are we going to be in such distress that uh, we're not able to, step up to the plate and be able to, uh, do like whatever, arrange a funeral um, uh, or, we want to be in, in a good enough emotional state that we can still be functional, maybe help others that are not dealing with this loss so well, like that. And we don't know how these things are going to affect us. Like I know Vaisheshika Prabhu tells the story of how when his mom passed away, even though he'd been a devotee for so many years and become advanced, it's such a deep thing. It's such a deep ingrained thing. He explains that he was driving one time and he just like kept driving. Like he was supposed to take a turn, but he just like kept driving straight and on the highway or whatever. And then like some time passed and he was like, "Oh, I think I missed my turn." It kind of yeah, it affects you. So by practicing devotional service, and getting more to the mode of goodness, then we'll be able to deal with these things in a healthier way. I was just reading how uh, devotional service it brings our nartas to the forefront. Um, like part of this anarta nivriti process brings our anartas to the forefront where we can see them, and we then we can deal with them, like deal with these things like that. So that's number one. Um, kind of uh, yeah, maybe more basic level is that coming to the mode of goodness will help us to uh, deal with things in the material world in a more um, rational, healthy way. Okay. So another aspect, lamentation, and this is the uh, what's brought out in these prayers of Queen Kunti is that devotion, calamitous situations can actually be a great impetus for our spiritual life and bring in that they can bring us closer to Krishna. Um, so we can all, yeah, like I know for myself, it was definitely there, wa- how I started this spiritual path was definitely um, it's just feeling that level of distress, like the heavy weight and the heavy weight of my material circumstances, and realizing I cannot deal with these things myself. Like I need some help. So never was religious, never like believed in God or anything, but somehow or other I just felt so helpless that I actually made a prayer to God, like, God, please help me. And then things kind of just like, yeah, it was very interesting. Then things just started leading one thing after another, leading to meeting the devotees and taken to this path. So these, yeah, calamitous situations, as Queen Kunti is praying, um, can actually be very good for us to take to this process uh, more wholeheartedly. Um, so of course, Queen Kunti's on a very high level, and what she's praying is that, Krishna, please let these situations happen so I can see you more and more. I can be with you more and more. Um, so we might just be praying like, Krishna, please help me so I can just, you know, at least get some Brahman realization, like negate this suffering and like feel some, yeah, feel some, you know, pleasure. Uh, we might not be on such a high level, but still, um, we know that devotional service is we know that devotional service is blissful, and the more we can absorb in it, the more we can kind of feel joy in our heart, and so it will help us to get over these lamentable situations. Like yes, someone was there was someone was saying how they something happened to them, lost a loved one, and they said nothing would work, nothing would actually like soothe their heart except for one thing: Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Those sweet holy names, when they would, chant kirtan, do japa, like that's the one thing that would actually soothe their heart. Um, so this is yeah, for a pious person, chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritano jana. So Krishna is saying four types of pious people come to him. Um, so if one is fortunate enough to have those, pious credits somehow or another, um, one and yeah, come. This can be impetus to come to Krishna. And yeah, also I just remembering my own life, like the times I've really called out to Krishna with like most sincerity is like, yeah, some because of something going on that it really something was pulling on my heart. My heart was like activated. My heart was feeling tender, and it was like, yeah, then you really felt it, like, Krishna, please help me. And it was because the emotions were so stirred up, it really had so much power. And then it was much more, um, felt much more transcendental than even when I have like my best japa, my best kirtan, my most like absorbed, but they're like my mind is absorbed, but my heart's not in it, you know. So yeah, when our heart becomes opened up by the material world, um, we can use that to put Krishna in there, then that can have very powerful effect. And that's why, His Holiness Satchidananda Maharaj, he tries to bring people to that space that, you know, through all these like guided meditations, it's like bring yourself to a state where you're just calling Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So, um, so this can be, um, so a devotee is like an expert businessman. An expert businessman, like we got a businessman in the house, Mr. Vadim, and Vadim knows that uh, in 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 any situation a businessman can make money. Uh, in if the market is good or the market is bad, an expert businessman could take advantage. So as devotees, we can also be like that. That in whatever situation we're in the material world, we can use it as impetus to come closer to Krishna. So just from this purport, yeah, yeah. So because Prabhupada's saying that this material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamity. Certified. So that's a big word, right? Certified organic, certified this, certified that. So Krishna, the creator of this material world, is certifying that this place is full of calamities. Um, like I was recently talking to our one of our guests. Um, he's a kid, 12, I think, yeah, 12 years old. But I swear he's like a 20-year-old at least 20 years old in the body of a 12-year-old. Anyways, we were just talking, and he was asking questions, and like conversation came up about politics and like nu nuclear weapons. I swear a lot of this was just coming. These were his inquiries. Um, It was amazing because I just explaining to him, it was like, man, like, yeah, this world is really messed up. It's a bad world, um and anyway, so it was just amazing that um I guess from well, really anyone's perspective, if they're honest, it's like this world is messed up. Yeah, this world is messed up. But then so then I kind of tried to like hint at Krishna consciousness, give him the example about how uh, this world is like sweet rice um, with sand in it, and you can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy sweet rice if there's sand in it. And so, anyways, um, yeah, material world certified by the Lord as a place of calamities. Okay, so I'm trying to find something. Um, yeah, so that's the thing is that knowing that that's the nature of this place, let's get out of it. Like like let let's not let's not come back to this place. And if we're feeling slack in our devotional service, in our desire to go back to that place, then I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some calamity might be maybe some calamity might be good, huh? Um, to remind us, to really remind us. Of course, first class person, they can learn just by hearing. So that's better way to go. Just read Bhagavatam, okay, Prabhupada's saying this place is certified as a dangerous place full of calamities. Okay, all right, let me then get out of this material world. Um, but yeah, so if we need that extra impetus, then maybe a calamitous situation is good. And maybe if a calamitous situation happens, we can be very grateful, like, wow, Krishna, um, I was maybe I was starting to get a little too comfortable in this world, but thank you for this reminder that, yeah, like this place is not, like Prabhupada said, it's not fit for a gentleman. It's not fit for ladies or gentlemen. Um, and so in that way, and then, because then you hear about the spiritual world, yeah, full of bliss and without a trace of calamity. Um, that opportunity is there. It's not that we're just doom and gloom, like if you're depressed and everything just seems hopeless. No, we actually have that hope that, wow, that this spiritual world is there. It might be a little inconceivable how to imagine what it's going to be like, but um, full of bliss, right? You know, desire trees and uh, uh, gems and just everything, just full of bliss. Yeah, just everything is bliss. Then whatever happens, Krishna goes in the Yamuna River, and your Mother Yasoda is feeling pain, but it's that even that pain has so much bliss in it. So like that. So I was always wondering, like before meeting the devotees, like, isn't there, can't there be is, can't there be a place where there's no like misery? Like, can't some place like that exist? Like, why why is the only reality that I know all have this misery? Can't there be some like place where it's just full of bliss, or full of happiness? Like I know some places are surely full of misery. So can't there be the opposite end of that spectrum? And yes, there can be, and that's what we're being invited to. We all we're all we've all got personal we've all been cordially invited to the spiritual world and RSVP. Yeah, RSVP now by chanting the Maha Mantra. Okay, so that's a little bit about the second thing, that you become closer to Krishna, and it causes you impetus to go closer to Krishna. And then the last one is that you actually transcend. You actually start acting on the spiritual platform. Um, so there's that verse, Brahmabhuta Prasana Ma, uh, Nasochati Nakanshati, Samat Sarvish Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. So, when one comes to the Brahman platform, the platform of spirit, of, then one is free from hankering or lamentation. So there's second chapter. There's lots of nice verses. Just pull it up. Okay. So, okay. So this is second chapter Bhagavad Gita. Um, Krishna is saying, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Uh, One from the purport, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. Um, yeah, so got to get that spiritual vision. So one quick story about that. I met this, college student, and uh, I read with him, like just invited him and read with him in the van, and then he continued his reading, and so he messaged me, and he said, I have to tell you, like, this thing that happened. One of my close friends, like, one of my close friends died, and uh, all our friend group was just like completely destroyed by this happening. Um, but he said, because he was reading Bhagavad Gita, he said, mystically, like he felt like he was actually able to just observe this whole situation happening without feeling so distraught by it. So he was saying, like, wow, yeah, this Bhagavad Gita, this transcendental knowledge really saved him. Okay. Uh, Krishna saying, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Yeah, so one with that transcendental vision, one knows that the soul is just passing through these bodies. Um, you know, this body is just temporary, and uh, uh, okay, you close this chapter, but then you're going to go on. You're going to go on to uh, another chapter of life. Um, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes to another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Not bewildered. Yeah, a sober person is not bewildered. Mm. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non existent, the material body, there is no endurance. and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. So I mean, this whole Bhagavad Gita, like, it, talk about a calamitous situation, how you're like faced with killing, like not only your people you know are gonna die, like you're the one killing them. This, yeah, talk about a calamitous situation. So, um, it's a great example because Arjuna's in this intense situation. So if he can deal with that, what about our little situations? And Krishna's telling him what is the reality. Reality is we're actually not all these bodies. We're just passing through, and um, and realize that, like come to realize that. That's the point of um, yeah, do take to this practice so that you can realize that. Um, and yeah, okay. So I'll stop. I'm not leaving much time, but just to sum it up, dealing with the inevitabilities of calamities. I was hoping that sounded a little better. Uh, but anyways, inevitabilities of calamities. So the three things I spoke on are how coming to the mode of goodness will help us. Coming to the mode of goodness by practicing devotional service will help us to deal with these situations in a healthy way. Um, Calamitous situations cause us to go closer to Krishna, can cause us. Let's they can and should cause us. And by this process, devotional service, one can actually transcend these things, transcend, all the miseries of this material world. Be in this world, but not of this world. Bhagavad Gita, it's explained how, like the leaf, the lotus, it's untouched. It gets wet, but it's not wet. What is that? God, I don't know, something like that. It gets wet, but it's not wet. Sorry, I don't. If someone knows, they could post it in the chat. But yeah, let's be in this world of wetness, but not get wet. This world of misery, but not be miserable. Okay, so I'll stop there. If there any questions or comments, going once, going twice. Okay, I'm sure someone will say something. All right, well, thank you all very much then for your kind attention. Granta Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam.
Quick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Prabhu.
Okay, so it seems like Krishna's pure devotees go through all kinds of calamities. So does that mean that for us to become pure, we also have to go through so many intense calamities.
Krishna's, it seems that Krishna's pure devotees, they go through calamities. So does that mean that we have to go through these calamities? Yeah, I think probably everyone's path is different. Every Krishna's, tailor making our devotional lives for us to personally come closer to him, whether that means having a lot of calamities or not. Um, yeah. So, like, what was it? I heard, yeah, someone asked my guru Guru Maharaj, you put yourself in such intense situations, like preaching behind the Iron Curtain and all that. Um, like, does that mean I have to do that? And my guru was saying, no, you don't, you know, you just focus on your service and what it will take for you to do your service nicely. And then whatever happens, um, be anchored by your service and by doing your service nicely. And then whatever happens with that uh, happens. Don't look for these calamities. Don't look for these situations. So yeah. Okay, the curtains are open. Thank you very much for asking that question, Prabhu. I was feeling a little lonesome. Granta Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande.